Hi everyone, it's me, Marty. I'm doing a video here on making scrollsaw wood mugs. And it's kind of a work in progress. I mean, I tried doing these a few years ago, and I'm still trying to fine tune them. But I like the idea of trying to make something that's traditionally done on one tool, but to do it on another tool. Maybe you don't have that other tool, or you just want another way of doing it. I just like the idea of being able to do that, so it's kind of cool. Um, so the traditional way of making a mug or a stein or a glass, anything that's um, a drinking container that's made out of wood, any the traditional way of making those would be on a lathe, a wood lathe. I have a little one that I bought. It's really small. It's really old. It's not a real good one, and I really don't know how to use it that well yet, so I haven't done much lathe work yet. But I do mostly scroll sawing, as you all know. I love to scroll saw, and I like to think of ways to make stuff with the scroll saw that's maybe not the traditional way of doing it, but a new way. And I seen a video one time that people make a wood mug on the scroll saw, so I started doing it. The traditional way would be to do it on a lathe, and you take a block like this, a square block, and you put it in a lathe, and it spins like a million miles an hour. Well, not that fast, but you know what I mean. It goes fast. It spins, and you take a turning knife and you touch it, and it cuts the wood. It shaves it, and it makes it round. And then you hollow it out, and that's how you make a wood mug on the lathe. Yeah, but we're not gonna do that. Okay, we're gonna do it on the scroll saw. Okay, so I made like 4 or 5 of them a couple of years ago, and they turned out all right. But see, here's one. I'm not going to show you real close because it didn't turn out real good. I just have this one that I have at home, and then I think I have the other ones in my classroom at school for my class that I teach. And I have pencils and pens in it and paintbrushes and stuff. Because I haven't fine-tuned them to make them real nice yet. And the big thing, I haven't fine-tuned and figured out a way to seal them and finish them so you can drink out of them. Okay, so they're basically just pencil holders right now and stuff. So I'm going to show you how I make them, just some of the process and everything. But I'm still it's a work in progress. I'm trying to figure out ways to do it. So maybe you have ideas, and I know there's lots of people out there do it different ways, and there's actually the Renaissance fairs, they make wood mugs like these, small ones and tall ones, and they sell them for lots of money. Really nice mugs, and they have some kind of 2-part epoxy or something what they put on them. I think they actually stain them, shellac them or something, and then they put a epoxy over them inside and out, so they're preserved and they'll last forever, and you can drink out of them. But it's really a lot of work, and it's really expensive. But so I'm always trying to think of a way to do it that's a little bit cheaper and easier. So yeah, I'm going to talk about that a little bit more at the end, but I'm just going to show you. So that's the mug basically, okay? And I'm going to show you like the different steps to making it. Okay. So I love my coffee. This is kind of a neat little, I have a lid for my coffee cup. It only fits this one. It doesn't fit my other ones, but it's kind of cool. And actually it was for another coffee cup, and that coffee cup broke, but it fits this one. And it says, "In all things God works for the good of those who love him, who have been called according to his purpose." Romans 8:28. Kind of cool. So that's my little coffee mug to keep most of the sawdust out. So, okay. So this is the first step. Okay. Get a piece of wood. Okay, so I tried a bunch of different ways to do this. So there's people out there who have they have patterns that you can download, and it's basically just a ring. That's what this is. The scroll saw mug is just rings. You cut rings out of all different kinds of wood. You can use the same kind of wood, or you can use different species, and it really looks cool together. And you just cut the rings all exactly the same size, and then you glue them up. You stack the rings, and then you do tons of sanding. and then you finish it and you have a mug. And so instead of turning a solid block of wood on the lathe, you're making rings on the scroll saw. So it's kind of cool. So there's people out there that have patterns that you can download. I don't like to use paper patterns that often. I like to make templates. You can see my templates on my workbench here. To make a template that I can just trace. And for something like this, I thought, if I could have a ring, a perfectly cut round ring, I can just trace it on the wood for all the rings. And I tried different things. I tried to make a wood ring. Well, that didn't work because it wasn't perfectly round. Tried tracing different things, and I just couldn't get a perfectly round ring for a pattern. And I bought a plastic gasket and different kinds of things. If you could get a round steel ring, machined or made or something, there's probably one out there. I'd probably look in hardware store or something and find something, but that would work good. But I found something the other day that I think works pretty good. It's most accurate that I've found, and it's the lids from mason jars. So, and it works actually perfect to use the outside of it, like this, for the outside of the mug, and then the inside of it for the inside. And I have two different sizes. This is more like for a coffee mug, and this is more for like a glass, like a mug, a skinny one. So this is what I do. So first I cut, and it's not perfect, but they're pretty sturdy. A steel ring would be better. This is like aluminum or whatever, but so I just put it on here, trace the outside. See? Trace the outside. And then you flip it over. And here's where you got to be pretty exact. The more exact it is, the better. And then you trace the inside of the lid, and then you have the inside, and that's the ring for the scrollsaw mug. And you're going to cut that out, the inside out, and it's a perfect ring, and it's about 1/4 inch, which after all the sanding, it ends up being about the wall. That's going to be the wall of the mug. It's going to be about 3/16 thick, which is about perfect. For drinking. And I think even the ceramic mugs or glasses you buy, they're a little thinner than that even, but for wood ones it's a little better to be a little thicker. They're more durable. So there's that. Yeah. Okay, so I have that traced on there, and what I would do, depending on how tall you want it, you would cut like 6 or 7 of these out, and then one with, don't cut the inside out. That's going to be the base. So you'd have about 6 rings where what I do is I drill a hole in here, cut that out, then cut the outside, and then you have a ring. Do 6 or 7 of those, and then cut one where you don't cut the middle out, and that's the base of the mug. That part. See what I mean? So this one's, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is a smaller one. So 5 rings, drilled out or cut out, and then a solid one. So 5 or 6 is actually, even 4 would be a good mug. This is a little tall. I like a tall coffee mug. But then you can do like 6, 7, 8 if you want more of a glass too. So, okay, I'm going to pause this for a quick second. All right. Okay, now I'm over at my drill press. So now I'm just going to drill a hole in this. All right. See what I did? I drilled a hole in the inner. That's going to be the part I'm going to cut out. Cool? Okay, now we're over at the scroll saw. So I'm going to cut that out. And because it's... Whoop, forgot my tape. 1 second. Whoa. Whoops. Oh. Boy, I got it clean in here. Usually I have a really clean, organized shop. It's kind of overflowing with stuff. Okay, so again, whenever I cut hardwoods, I always put tape on the back. Because it's proven, I remember that other video when I was doing a name and I was taping it. It took like 10 minutes for me to get it on. And anywho, yeah, and then I made a video of me watching me doing that, and watching me laugh at myself doing that, and yeah, you got to be able to laugh at yourself. Anyway, so that went pretty painlessly that time. Okay, so I put plastic tape on the back because it's proven that it helps cool the blade and it cuts better. It really does, especially for, well, oak isn't a huge deal, but it helps. Cherry, maple, some other hardwoods, it really helps. Okay, now I'm gonna disconnect the blade, thread it through the bottom, hook it up on top. Tighten the tension. And I always do inside cuts first. That's just what I like to do. So I'm going to cut the ring out. See if I can do this without breaking a blade. Gotta be a use for those somewhere. I mean, the thing is, it's got a hole in the side, but I don't, because where I drilled. I don't know, you can make wheels or something. I don't know. I got tons of them sitting around here. Okay. Disconnect the blade. Hook up the blade. Not sure why I'm talking like this, but, that's all part of the fun. About 35 degrees out today. The sun's trying to peek through. Spring's on the way. Okay. See what I did? I cut the inside out. Yeah, see that? Yeah. Okay. I'm going to try to keep this under about 15-minute video. Because the last one was, what, 43 minutes? That screencast thing? That was kind of weird, but hope you enjoyed it. But anyway. Okay. Cut the outside now. Okay. One thing I was going to say. You want to be super accurate at cutting these rings, okay? So use a pencil that's really sharp. Try to cut the rings really accurate. The more accurate these rings are cut, the closer they'll be the same, because you're going to do 5, 6, 7, 8 of them stacked. The closer they are to being the same, the less sanding you're going to have to do. Okay. Well, there it is. And again, use good blades. I have an Olson number 7 blade, number 5. Those blades I use for almost everything. But there's lots of good blades out there. Flying Dutchman blade. Anyway, good scroll saw blades will cut really smooth, and this edge is always super smooth. Okay, you can see it's shiny smooth. Okay. And actually the top and bottom of your board is always smooth, or fairly smooth if it's milled. It's just this edge here that you wanna sand. But so that's pretty cool, pretty accurate ring. Okay. Okay, so that's how you cut the rings. Okay. So then you cut however many you want for your mug. Okay. And so here's 3. You can see 3 rings. And if you hold them together, they're pretty close, but not perfect. So the more accurate you cut your rings, the closer they're going to be. Because, you know, you're going to glue these together, and you have to sand the outside, and you have to sand the inside. Peek. Hi. No. But so the more accurate you can do it, the better. Okay. Now, the next step. Oh, okay. So, the next step is to glue them up. So you cut all your rings, and then you stack them. You want to use, I don't know, I'm using Type Bond 3. I don't know, it's waterproof. But there's different glues you can use. Still experimenting on that too. So again, this is an experiment, work in progress. So, yeah. But then, so you take the rings, and you put glue in between each one, and you stack them. Okay? Don't put the bottom on. Do not put the bottom on yet. Actually, what I do is glue these. Actually, before I do that, the top one I took to my router and I rounded the edge, because that's where you're going to drink out of. I did that on the router. You can just sand it round too, but I did that on the router ahead of time. Otherwise, you got to hold the mug on the router, and that's not real safe. So I routed the top ring where you're going to drink out of, and then I started gluing them up. And I have a few of them going here. So this one's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 rings. This one's 1, 2, 3, 4 rings. And this one is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 rings. This is more of a glass, kind of a. This isn't going to have a handle. The other ones are going to have handles. And then I have the one I made. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That I glued that up, and then I glued the base on. So that's me 6 total. So here's the thing. So you glue them up, put glue, really put a good amount of glue in there, and spread it with a brush or roller or whatever, so it's really covering all of them. And then you stack them and try to get them that's another thing. I got to figure out a way to stack it so they're, what would work good if it's the right size, like a PVC pipe. Just a plastic PVC pipe, just cut a piece, and that could be, as you're gluing them up, you could put that in there, and then they're standing straight and even. Getting ideas as I'm doing this. Okay, so then you stack them. They're all glued up. You just do them one at a time and stack them on the table, and then clamp it down to a table, or you can put some bricks on it or whatever. But I just use clamps. Yeah, and then after they're glued up, so you have it glued up like this, but no bottom on, then you go do lots of sanding. Okay, so the next part, I'm going to sand the inside of the mug. So this, this is all glued up. You got it glued up, but you got to sand the inside and you got to sand the outside. Okay? Even if you're perfectly accurate, you're still going to have sanding. And my rings aren't perfectly accurate, and I didn't cut them perfectly accurate, and I didn't glue them together perfectly accurate. And I don't have the right equipment to sand things for mugs. But this is what I use. So this is my drill. This is my drill press, and I just have a. What do you call this? It's a sanding drum bit thing. I forgot what you call this. Mine's actually coming off, but I need a bigger one. You get one that's, the 2-inch or almost 3-inch. That would be bigger, but this works. So I'm going to just show you how I do this. So I'm sanding the inside of the mug. That actually works pretty good. It takes about a half hour to get it done really good, but and a bigger drum sander thing here would be better. Then I wouldn't have to turn it so much. It would just be, but so that's that. Okay, then. All right. Well, let me show you here. Let's go over here. So I don't have the right sanders for this stuff. Okay, but so now we're going to sand the outside. I'm not going to show you, but I have a bench top sander here, belt sander, and I use that. And I use this sander, more of a, I don't know what you would call this. This is, I guess, a belt sander too. It's just got this small. And so between these two and this and my sanding box, it's really good and organized over there. Between those, I sand the outside, and you can see it really needs. This one really needs a lot of sanding. I need to drink coffee. 1 second here. Speaking of coffee mugs. Okay. So. Where was I? This happens a lot. I'm getting old. No. So I use a variety of sanding things to sand my mugs. There's 2 tools that would be nice to get. Anybody out there wants to buy me them, that would be nice. No, I'm kidding. I mean, if you really want to, but yeah. No. There's something called, I think it's a pneumatic drum sander. And it's about this big. And it has a drum, kind of like on my drill press, that sticks out sideways. And I think it's a sanding like drum thing, but I think it's filled with air, or it's like cushioned, and it spins. That's actually really good for doing intarsia pieces too. That would work for doing outside too. Man, maybe the inside. I'm not sure. An oscillating spindle sander that's an upright sanding drum that spins and it goes up and down, and there's all different sizes. That would be good for the inside and outside. I'd like to get one of those, an oscillating spindle sander, and they're not real expensive. So, but I don't have the right sanders really, so I'm just kind of winging it. And also got a Dremel tool there too but and then so yeah, you do that. You know, you get the inside sanded really good, the outside sanded really good. And then you take, and you just keep 60, 100, 150, 200, 220. You just keep working your way down in sandpaper, and you just keep, and you round, and you sand it. Whoa, hello. And you just spend years sanding. No, not years, but, you know. You get the picture. So then you have that sanded. The next thing you do is glue the bottom on. Does that make sense? Does that make sense? You get my drift? You don't glue the bottom on right away because you have to sand the inside and the outside of the mug. Okay? So after you have that all sanded really nice, then you go back over and, like I'm doing right here. See there? I got the bottom glued on. That's when you glue the bottom on. Okay? After you have everything sanded good. And then you have to sand it again a little bit so the bottom ring, matches what you sanded. Okay? Okay. All right, we're back. Okay, so you trace the rings. You cut them on the scroll saw. Then you then you glue them up. Glue up all the rings, not the bottom, just all the other rings. Actually, before you glue them together, you router the top ring where you're going to drink out of. Then you glue them all together, clamp it up, let it sit for hours or a day. Then you sand the inside of the mug. Then you sand the outside of the mug. Then you glue the bottom on. Then you sand some more so that the bottom matches the rest of the ring, rest of the mug. 24 minutes. I'm going to try to keep this under a half hour. And then after it's all sanded, then you finish it. Okay. So I'm actually going to refinish this other mug that I had here because my other one's, it's going up and the thing. So just showing you the steps of how I do it. So this mug I already did. About finishing, it's really confusing, and you got to Google do your thing. But Okay, my opinion and what I've heard, all finishes are food safe after they've cured, not dried, cured. So they might dry in a couple of hours, but it takes a couple of days for the finish to cure. Once it cures, whether it's shellac or polyurethane or oils and all different natural finishes, once they cure, they dry after a couple hours or whatever. But after a couple of days or a couple of weeks, they cure. Then they're supposed to be food safe for anything. That's what they say. But then there is certain things that are better. I'm not really sure. There's like legal things and technical things. You should check that out yourself. I'm not giving any advice on how to finish things that are going to be used for food or drinks. I've been using mine for pencils and pens and paintbrushes because I haven't figured out a good thing yet. But this is what I've been doing. I still ain't drinking out of them, but just to finish them. Actually, I've drank cold drinks out of a couple of them, but not hot drinks. So what I do is, and what a lot of people do is they use I have Butcher Block conditioner oil. It's food grade mineral oil and natural waxes. This is for like Butcher Blocks, mugs, bowls, and everything. It's just a natural thing, and you put it on now and then, refinish it. I put that on the inside, okay? Then I use spray polyurethane for the outside. It looks nice on the outside, and it's sealed, protects the wood. This is for inside, more natural to drink out of. And again, I still haven't fine-tuned this, and I'm just trying different things, and I wouldn't suggest it. I haven't sold any of these. I have, not even for gifts, I wouldn't, I'm still trying to figure all this out. Again, the Renaissance fairs, they make really nice ones, and they use epoxy. It's a thick stuff, and you put it on and it gets hard, and that's probably the best way, what I've heard. But to do it a cheaper way that's easier, use some kind of natural thing on the inside, and then just poly or stain or shellac or whatever on the outside. But then there's another thing. For hot liquids, you need something else, because nothing really, except for the two-part epoxy thing that the Renaissance fairs use. That's really the only thing that you can put on the inside that's going to hold up to hot liquids like coffee and hot chocolate or whatever, tea. So I'm still trying to figure that out. Yeah, because here's the thing: you want to finish these with something that's going to protect the wood and it's going to last. Okay, but then you have to use something that's food safe that you can eat or drink out of. So it has to do both. And that epoxy stuff's probably the only thing that does both. But then I read recently, there's people saying, what did they do hundreds of years ago or thousands of years ago? They made wood containers for drinking and eating out of. They left them natural. So some people are saying, just leave them natural. They'll be fine. Might not last forever, but does anything ever last forever except for God and God's word and God's people? So that's another way too. Just leave them natural. I mean, I'm going to try different things just for myself and just see what works. But that's what I do right now. So I'm going to do that quick. I'm going to pause it because I want to stay under 30 minutes here. Okay. So I put that, this natural Butcher Block oil on the inside. It looks nice and it's all sealed up. So that's what I did on the inside. Now I'm going to spray polyurethane on the outside. Okay, now I'm going to spray this. And this mug isn't perfect either. I got some burn marks and other places that I didn't get it sanded real well. But this is one of my favorite things to do when I make a project, is to either stain it, and I like to use polyurethane just because it brings out the grain and it's just a natural finish. Or it's not a natural finish, but it's not really a stain, but yeah, I'm going to go over a little over 30 minutes, but oh well. But this is my favorite part because it just starts to glow and the color and the grain and everything come out. So, isn't that pretty? So the handle is black walnut. And then I have oak, black walnut, walnut, poplar, a couple of things in there. So I'm just doing the outside. I use the butcher block oil on the inside. I'm using poly on the outside. Well, there you are. I got my phone camera on the tripod, so it's kind of hard to zoom in. And anyway, so there you are. That's how I make my scroll saw and wood mugs. So again, it's a learning curve. It's a learning process. It's something I'm still learning, but I like the idea of making a wood mug without using a lathe. So many things can be done on the scroll saw. Lots of different things you can do. It's a fun, wonderful hobby. You can make things to sell. You can make gifts, and it's fun to teach others too. And so yeah, that's a scroll saw wood mug. And again, there's so many ideas and conversations out there. What's food safe? What's best to preserve the wood? What's an all-around good finish for the inside and outside? And yeah, I'm still learning. So if you have any tips or advice or ideas, put them in the comments down below. And so yeah, so thanks for watching. Have a blessed day, and just yeah, get out in your shop and make some sawdust and be goofy like I am and weird, and life's too short to be normal. Whoa, I'm dizzy. Well, anywho, time for a coffee break. Thank you. Have a great day. See you next time.